But coming to the point of us being content creators, I understand that we're not the biggest, but we do have a responsibility, even if we're small, that even when people look back on how we started, they can see that we started with integrity and that we were cognizant of what was happening in the world around us. As content creators, and as Muslim content creators over and above that, we have certain responsibilities, even if they don't directly affect us right here and right now. And if you are not getting where I'm trying to take this conversation, in this last week that passed, we have seen a resurgence. It's not a new issue. It's been part of the fabric of like American society for God knows how long. But we have seen a resurgence in police brutality against our black brothers and sisters. And that culminated with the death of George Floyd. You know, we ask God to have mercy on his soul and everything good that we can ask for. But I don't know, Hashmat, this is a difficult topic to talk about and not something that I was initially planning to speak on because this was just supposed to be a review of everything we've done so far. But we have this responsibility to speak up on these issues and the like, even if, you know, you might make an argument that it doesn't affect us in Botswana, but the reality is that it does. Racism affects every single one of us, and us being of South Asian descent, we also have something of a responsibility because we've seen many backward attitudes in our communities. We can speak from our communities because that's the community that we surrounded ourselves in growing up. We can't speak about, for example, the attitudes of Palestinians towards black people because I'm not Palestinian. And of course, my heart goes out to the people who are suffering in the Gaza Strip and all that. But I don't know about that community as much as I know about South Asians and people of South Asian descent in Botswana. So I don't know, Hashmat, to begin with, what's it like in Malaysia? What is their reaction?
I mean, this thing in Malaysia, it hasn't trickled down here yet. I mean, it isn't public news right now because maybe it's quite new for them or they haven't prioritized it yet. Whatever the reason is, regardless of whatever they think about it, it is wrong. And slowly but surely, majority of the people, I hope, will stand against this abuse, this oppression, as we do. We stand against this kind of oppression. It is wrong. And yeah, I mean, it's just heartbreaking to think over and over again, these things keep happening. And for some reason, we aren't learning anything from it. Over time, like every couple of years, this kind of stuff happens, but nothing is done about it. That's the problem. And this time, I have a feeling it might be different. This kind of backlash against the police, against the government, hasn't happened in a long time. So, you know, let's hope whatever is happening happens for the best. It's hectic.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it is hectic because this isn't, like I said, racism isn't something new. And in the United States of America, especially, we know the history that the United States of America has with, you know, slavery, and obviously that trickling back into that whole narrative of colonialism and all those things. And what we're seeing today, as cheesy as it sounds, is actually a result of all these years of, you know, oppression against people of color and what have you. And I understand that we're not doing it justice on this podcast. I think that, you know, it's a shame that we have to take a bit of a break, but there are other things going on. So we have to basically, this is the final episode for this season, but I think next season we should definitely get some people who are specialized in this field to really talk about issues such as this, issues relating to race in the Muslim community. Because I don't know about you, bro, but myself growing up in a family of South Asian descent, I mean, I do consider myself a Botswana fine, and I indulge, like yourself, I indulge myself more in Botswana culture than any other culture for that matter. But you have those certain family members, maybe you know what I'm talking about, who have those, you know, those mentalities, and they make those comments about black people, or basically they make those comments about people who are not from your area, from your side of the river, you know what I'm saying? But growing up, you were kind of taught that, just tolerate it, it's part of respect and everything. But now you come and you see this, and then you're like, no, we can't just be silent anymore. We need to take some solid action. So these are difficult conversations, but conversations that need to be had regardless. So I think I'm gonna, contact some ulama, some scholars of Islam. Already I contacted, for the last episode, we saw Sheikh Ismail Kamdar, and we talked about a lot of things, particularly about separating Indian culture from Islam, which is a mistake that many people unfortunately do, something that perhaps I myself fell into for a long time, but it's something that we need to grow out of. And in that same light, I hope that we can get some more scholars of Islam and even people who are not Muslim to talk about these things so that we can maneuver ourselves and conduct ourselves as basically the pioneers of anti-racism, as the ambassadors of people who would stamp down on such barbarous acts being committed against anyone. And there's no argument to say that, oh, because I'm not black, it's not going to happen to me. Today it's black people. I mean, yesterday it was Muslims. Who else is it going to be next? This thing doesn't discriminate. Unless you're going to fight this machine, it's going to trample you down as well. So I know we're not doing it justice, but I hope that we have done something, and we're not discharging our responsibility fully, obviously, but I hope that these words would be of some use. Anyway, I don't know if you have any parting words on this, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really hard to talk about it at the moment. It is fresh, so it isn't exactly easy to talk about. But saying that, it isn't new either. Even like in 2014, 2015, we saw what happened with Eric Garner and all of that. Same thing, literally the same thing keeps happening again and again and again. Same thing, different people, same thing, same races. Eric Garner, 2015, 2014, whenever it was, that man got choked to death, right in front of a shop. So, as you said, it's just a continuation of what's been happening since about 400 years. It's been 400 years of oppression, man. And over time, this oppression nothing's been really done about it, and it's actually created branches and subsections of this kind of oppression, this passive aggression and superiority and all of this kind of stuff. I think the essence is that until we don't do anything about the superiority complex, oppression isn't going anywhere, As it's really hard to talk about it at the moment, but yeah, it's hectic, man. As long as superiority complexes exist, as you said, in our South Asian countries as well, as long as that stuff exists, oppression and hatred will not leave us. So next season, let's hope we can get some people on here who have the knowledge. We regardless of what our reach is or what our power is, what our stance is, we have the responsibility to at least talk about it, give our awareness. Whatever power, whatever potential we have, we'll use it to spread our awareness through our channels, that? So, yeah, we'll talk about this in the following seasons with people who are well informed in this topic, and then we'll take it on from there.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail right on the head over there. And we know my famous disclaimer. How about I always say that, I'm radioactive. My superpower is making people have heart attacks and they're free to die. I think that's going to have more of a bite next season and the seasons coming on from now, because so far that's been kind of a joke, because it's been about things that are somewhat trivial. For example, Muslims who have an issue with me reviewing fictional books that have magic in them, okay? And although no one has openly said anything on that line, I know that those people exist. You know that those people exist. It's not a stretch of the imagination to know that these people exist, and I basically dismissed them with that one statement. I think the next season we're going to take that statement on from a different angle, which is this angle of we're going to talk about these things that people don't want to talk about, that people don't want to talk about in the Friday khutbahs, as sacred as that is, because they don't want to lose their jobs. Or, bro, I don't know if you've seen that message I posted on WhatsApp today. Actually, I think that part was blurred out, but apparently some scholars of Islam don't want to talk about this in Botswana. although it's so prevalent and it's something that we need to talk about, but they won't talk about it on the pulpit on Friday, because they are at a risk of losing their jobs. So, I understand that this is a difficult conversation, but one that we need to have, and one that we will, inshallah, Lord willing, be having on The Scholar and the Student as the seasons progress.